So this is our second try at this because we tried before and we had kind of a crazy ass, a crazy ass discussion that didn't quite stay where it was supposed to stay and went off the rails real quick, and it was just like, fuck that shit. Let's try this again. So we want to talk today about fucking Suicide Squad and the DCEU and all the, I don't know what could be done to fix it. I mean, everybody's had their 2 cents about what could be done, but a lot of stuff doesn't make sense. But I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know for sure what they should do. I feel like they should just burn the whole shit down and start over. But, at this point, that's kind of really unrealistic. So
it was all like an alternate universe. It just collapsed. Like this was all Batman fever dream.
or they just jump immediately to Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Exactly. That's what
and this Earth lost, and then you're just starting over. If you do in the same cast of everything, everyone you have in every role, just keep them.
Yeah.
But just like this path you're on right now, are good.
What happened? You dropped out just for a sec.
And I don't know if you're going anywhere good ultimately with all this. Like, it's not even like how similar it could be to Marvel again, because obviously they're moving toward dark side at some point.
Yeah.
It's like where is all of this going? Anyone that knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no fucking clue. None whatsoever. Yeah, it just feels like the first big issue is they're doing too much in a very short span of time. And it's like they're not even being smart and taking stories that they know worked and then, amping those stories up. So at least something is guaranteed here. Like, if they did like a Crisis on Infinite Earths type deal or 0 Hour or some shit like that, where it was like, okay, this is the stuff you already knew about, and now we're going to flip all that shit on its head. Then it'd be like, okay, at least we see where they're going. Or if they did like a multiverse type story, like Crisis on Infinite Earths, then you'd be like, okay, I get it. We're focusing on this world, but this isn't Prime. This isn't the DC Universe Prime. This is one of the universes in the multiverse, and this is how shit goes down here, But that's not even what they're working towards. I mean, they're separating their TV universe from their movie universes. They're not even following the groundwork that was laid back when Bruce Timm was doing the animated series, the various animated series that they had. I mean, they're like really alienating a lot of viewers by trying to do something that they think will work, even after they've failed so many fucking times so far. I mean, all 3 attempts have been like completely bogus with viewers. Like, viewers are not happy about what they've been doing. And I mean, I know fans are stupid, but that's
the thing. As long as they keep putting out something and they make just enough money to continue, they're just going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
But you would hope you'd have to satisfy someone with this. Like, if you're not to make something that's like 100% true to the point where only fans will truly enjoy it, like, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Turn it up to a broader audience. But that's not even true so much. So it's like, because literally, like, there's no reason why and shouldn't have made well over $1 billion.
What happened? Which movie?
No, Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
Just the content alone should have made over $1 billion. If a Transformers movie, if Transformers 4 made much money.
Yeah.
I think 3 and 4 made over $1 billion.
Yeah.
Reason why Batman v Superman should not have been able to do that, but
they didn't.
Because of poor response all around, poor critical. That's like, I assume, poor word of mouth, because again, first week to second week, big drop off. Second week to third week, still a big drop off. It's just,
it's bad.
It's broken. Something's broken.
Yeah, it's bad. I think
Others should count their lucky stars that they have the foreign market to kind of help their back, because they would have been done a long time ago.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like just they keep exercising how little they understand the characters, and like that is Warner Brothers. It's not. It can't be the writer. Oh, I guess if you have fucking Goyer involved, then it's Goyer. But like some of the characters are so far off from what we know them to be and how we know them to act that it just doesn't make sense. And then we get to Suicide Squad, which looks and kind of has the feel of like the villains kind of feel like themselves. They're not doing all the stuff that they do, but I mean like on the surface. Like Harley sounds like Harley for the most part. You know what I mean? Like, Joker. I don't know about Joker. Joker's like a whole different. Like they try too hard to make him modern and like new, and that doesn't work. But like Joker's supposed to be kind of a timeless villain.
Yeah, like he doesn't fit even in the old like in the old animated series. It was like what you'd say like it took place in like the 50s or something shit, or the 60s, or or the 70s. Like the Joker, he's the clown prince of crime for a reason. Like that's the MO, that's his archetype. So like trying to change him into Pimp Daddy Joker doesn't make any sense. Like you're trying to put a square peg into a round hole, and
it makes no sense.
Let's make him like take a modern take on organized crime. So he's more that, like you said, rather than the traditional gangster from like the friggin' like 40s and 50s. But it's like,
But if you think about it, you see the mafia. No matter how the mafia is in any movie in any time period, they're exactly the same. Like their methods, their behavior, their ideology doesn't change.
Yep.
So if Joker's a gangster, and he runs by his own ideology, having him adapt to the thug life, it wouldn't make sense for the character.
Yeah.
It's out of character.
Yep. I agree 100%. Like it's the same thing with Superman being darker. Like Superman himself should never actually reflect the time period. He should always feel kind of out of time, the same way Captain America does. And then as time goes on, the world's reaction to Superman has to change. So, like, I get what they were trying to do in Man of Steel and somewhat in BVS, but, like, it just spent too much time on the negative side of things and not enough time having Superman reflect the values that Superman is supposed to reflect. You know what I mean? Like, he felt like because everybody's hating on him, he's just going to do whatever the fuck he wants to do. You know what I mean? Like he didn't care. And it's like, I get it. You want to make him a little bit more relatable to modern film goers, because modern film goers wouldn't necessarily buy the Christopher Reeve version. The problem is so many of them do buy the Christopher Reeve version. And that's because they gave Christopher Reeve a lot to do. So you could tell that the guy was a likable character. He was playing a likable character, and he could get into it. We didn't get that with this Superman. And then you turn around and immediately, right after the first film, put him into the most jacked up situation of his career as Superman. Like, that wasn't a smart move on any level. Like you guys said earlier, like just based on the premise, Batman v Superman should have made $1 billion opening weekend, because it's the two biggest heroes out there. Instead, they got shown up by Civil War, and Civil War wasn't even like, it's not better than the Winter Soldier. It's good, but it's not better than Winter Soldier. Like, how did that happen? How did Civil War just, I don't know, I guess because they were consistent, and the DCEU is not very consistent.
Yeah, I may have had too, where you're looking at the body of work put into it beforehand, rather than, again, like part of the most serious heavy lifting for BVS was still like having to not only introduce a new Batman, but introduce kind of radically different than one that's ever been presented on screen in live action.
Yeah, exactly.
The one scene where he saved Martha, that was cool when he busted into the place and was fighting all those dudes. But before that, he's rolling around like straight
gagging folks. Straight murking people, and it was like, wow.
I'm like, hey, we gotta like explain how we got here.
Mm-hmm.
Or even the end of the film when, because he decides like, oh man, I screwed up and I need to be better. But like even in the extended version, I still don't feel like him like wanting to follow Superman's example. I don't see what Superman
the example.
Did
yeah, what is the example? Other than
really,
sacrifice.
he didn't get a chance to show it because he wasn't in the movie enough.
Yeah,
exactly. Being that it's Superman versus Batman.
I know 8 minutes of Batman versus Superman. 8 minutes. That's sad.
Yeah, in a 2.5 hour theatrical cut. Yeah, they fought for 8 minutes.
That's sad. It's fucking sad. Like, it shows you that the studio themselves don't get it. You may.
And they were just, well, like you said, they were doing too much.
Yeah.
They had to rip even like they had to use how many kryptonite bombs did they use? 3?
More than that.
I'm like they only used 1 in freaking Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
The added effect of like the nuke bomb going off less yellow sun radiation, but still I'm like just the whole way that fight was booked. If I can use the wrestling term. I really wasn't feeling it. And I'm like, and now he's just going to throw him everywhere? Like, isn't Batman supposed to be, like, the methodical one? Like, now that he has this power advantage, and if he's so positive that Superman's such a threat, eliminate him in the fastest way possible?
Exactly. Like, he wouldn't prolong the fight at all. He would fucking murk him with his ultimate, martial knowledge and just go off on him, But it looked like the people at the helm didn't have any idea what that means. They were, and it's weird too because it feels like a different team handled the fight in the warehouse when he saved Martha, and a different team handled the fight where he fought Superman. Because like, even the way he was fighting was like 2 different people. It was like WWF when he was fighting Superman, and then it was like Jackie Chan's stunt team when he was fighting all those guys in the warehouse. So but
the initial Batman and Superman fight, it reminded me of that New 52 Justice League. I think it was like the first issue when him and Superman meet for the first time, and he's basically ran through all his gadgets trying to stop him.
Yeah, and nothing
worked. Nothing was working because like at the very beginning when Superman's trying to talk to him, it just reminded me of that particular part in the comic.
Yeah.
It felt like okay, they're trying to reference that. They're trying to reference The Dark Knight Returns. They're trying to reference,
too many references.
Just too much shit.
Too
much shit.
Yeah, too many. Way too many references. So Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Everybody saw Suicide Squad, right? You all saw it.
I'm sorry. I've been lying this whole time. I actually haven't.
Did you see it for real?
No, I did. I saw it on Thursday night. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you did.
Like,
you texted me. I forgot. You texted me when you saw it. Okay, so the Suicide Squad it's like a oh man, how do I put this?
It's
the premise.
disjointed.
Well, no. The premise is so simple that it amazes me how far from this premise or how far from accurate they were with their version of Suicide Squad. I mean, like typically the plot is always Waller gathers together a bunch of supervillains to deal with a threat that like the U.S. government can't be tied to, so that if something happens, they can just be like, fuck them. They were bad guys anyway. They're serving life sentences anyway. We don't know why they did what they did. They can just completely deny any knowledge of the of these guys and let them die. And the cool thing is obviously the interplay between villains, and in a society where the basic movie-going public has been trained to root for the bad guy all the time, you would think that this would have been a no-brainer and it would have worked, and they would have picked compelling villains that would have worked together and had a threat that fit the cause, that fit the use of these characters. But what you end up with is a strange hodgepodge of characters that really wouldn't serve a purpose, get the purpose that's needed. Like, beating a supernatural entity, you don't need a bunch of people with no powers. You know?
Or you don't need villains for that either.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was like, even though Enchantress is a character, and just before we get into it, you guys already know we spoil shit. That's how we talk about it, because there's no point in us beating around the bush, because there's those 4 people who never saw the shit. Like, this is an actual review and discussion about the shit that happened in the film. So,
told, see it. If not, stop the video, go to like somewhere on the internet, view it by all means, and then like play this video again.
Exactly. So, Enchantress is the villain. She's a member of the team. Her heart is the Achilles heel. Amanda Waller has her heart and is using that as her bargaining tool. So whenever she wants to force her to do something, she causes some kind of damage to the heart, and it makes Enchantress kind of fall in check or disappear altogether and allow her host to regain control of her body. Knowing what Enchantress can do and knowing who she is, I don't understand why the team was so weak sauce. Like, the team, this was by far probably one of the worst iterations of the Suicide Squad. You didn't have enough heavy hitters. You didn't have enough of the personalities that, given this situation, would actually be able to do something when shit hits the fan. Because, like, the way that this team worked, they should not have been able to beat her. Or her brother. Because it was
as powerful as they were.
Yeah, they were stupid powerful.
Yeah. That's why, again, like when I saw that first trailer, and I'm like, okay, it's not, again, to me, the interpretation was they were coming together for something, but then the Joker did something, so now they had to fight the Joker.
Yeah.
Have shot Captain Boomerang, friggin' like, and a couple other people on that team.
Uh-huh.
But I'm like, you got guns and boomerangs and
a baseball bat
against a god, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You said, why would you call them together to deal with that threat? Like,
exactly.
That's just, even if you don't want to take some more powerful people, because this is just like proof of concept, and then next time maybe they'll actually grab people with powers, but still.
No, at this point, they should have been balls deep in this shit. Like, using superpowered villains like fucking, what's the kid's name? Clarion? I think that's his name. The kid that fights the demon. You could have had...
Yeah, Etrigan.
You could have had Etrigan in there. You could have had... Because, at some point, they got to catch Jason Blood and be like, dude, you've done some shit as the demon, so it would be kind of weird, but it would work, because he's been in those kind of situations before. You got to find people like, or even fucking Dr. Fate. You know what I mean? He could have been kidnapped somewhere or captured somewhere, being held, and this is the bargaining tool they used. And then when they finally let him out, it's like, shit, we shouldn't have given him his helmet back. But he would do the right thing, because he is deep down a good guy. But there's so many characters like, there's so many supernaturally related characters that could have been in this film and could have, at least they don't have to be the same level as the Enchantress, but they could have been close, or at least have knowledge of this shit and actually be able to deal with it. You know what I mean? Think of all the characters that have ties to the Justice League Dark.
Yeah.
And that's...
Yeah, I was just going to say John Constantine. I could see Amanda Waller
going to him.
Charges on him in order to get him to do what she wants.
Yeah.
And then later on clear him of the charges, because she's not above doing that.
Or at least just go to him for something. You know what I mean? Go to him. Like, if this is where you want to go, there are people who specialize in this that are better than the villains that she was going to work with, that they could have gone to for some kind of aid. Like, when you play fucking Devil May Cry, you get relics and you get weapons that help you fight these crazy-ass threats. As you get further in the game, you get more powerful shit. They didn't do anything to prepare for the threat, and they knew what the threat was going into it. Like, Waller knew, and so did Flag, and no one actually was prepared. 2 people on the team had some kind of edge that would allow them to survive against supernatural threats. 2 people, one of which is actually in the Task Force X program. The other one is just like along for the ride because she's worked with Flag. and that was Katana with her mystical sword. And then the other was Diablo, who was part of the program, which is like, how is one of the 6 or 7 characters equipped to deal with this shit?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that doesn't make any sense. Then the other thing would be how you fix this is don't have them fight a supernatural threat first thing. Have them fight like a superhuman or metahuman threat. You know what I mean? So that way there's limitations to those characters' powers. I mean, yeah, we get some good special effects if they could do some shit, but like, at least they're not gods. You know what I mean? Like interdimensional fucking gods. Like, there's no fucking way they should have been able to beat this character. No, none. Given the way the movie even played, there's no way. So the plot is real stupid. The plot is just, this is the first time Waller assembles the Task Force X. That's the code name of the group in Suicide Squad. Essentially, one of the team members, which is the Enchantress, goes rogue, starts doing all kinds of crazy shit. She wants to destroy mankind because, at least according to her, she was here on this planet way before we were developed. And mankind worshipped her and her brother. And her brother is Incubus. And now she said mankind worships machines. And so she's going to build a machine that's going to destroy mankind because, reasons.
Pretty much.
And I mean, she's pissed at the fact that they don't worship her anymore, or her kind. So she possesses a random guy with her brother's essence. She finds the idol that has her brother's essence, and then possesses a dude.
She teleported back to the tomb or the ruin where she was, and pulled her brother's was, like you said, the container with his essence. Then came back.
Yeah, and came back, possesses this guy, and then gets him up to speed on what she plans on doing. So she lays waste to, which city were they in? Midway City? Or were
Midway
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
It was Midway City.
So they're in Midway City. Incubus lays waste to that city. First, he absorbs a whole bunch of people because she tells him, get your strength, and then let's do this thing. He fakes a seizure. People go to check on him. Then dude just goes fucking prototype on everybody and starts sucking people into himself. And then he grows into what I guess he was supposed to look like all along. He's this 9-foot tall, glowing, Incan-looking god. And he's shooting his arms off and destroying stuff. Like, his arms are stretching and unwinding and cutting through shit. And when he would hit stuff, it would spike up, just like in Prototype when you do your big bomb move where you clear the whole area,
Yeah.
And it was just like nothing could fuck with him, And apparently, during all this, Amanda Waller and her team are actually in Midway City. And they couldn't get out because the city's been locked down. And this dude has created, between the two of them, they've created an army of minions that are running around through the streets. And so they can't just effectively walk out and leave. So she assembles Task Force X, and their mission is to go in and get, the HVT, the high value target, which happens to be her. Flag lies about it to the team and doesn't tell them who it is they're actually saving. They've already met Waller before this because she's the one who lets them know that this is their only ticket to getting time off of their sentence. And that's pretty much the crux of the plot. So, there's one twist, and it's just that, the guy you think you're saving is not who you're actually saving. You're saving the person who is forcing you to risk your life for 10 years off your life sentence. Which is, it just was lame. And then the Joker figures into this because he just wants to break Harley out. And they paint the Joker in this really strange light. Like, he's fucked up, but he's not fucked up enough to not be fully in love with Harley. Which no iteration of the Joker up to this point has been like that about Harley. He's always been abusive. Like, he uses her. She's his henchwoman.
Abusive and manipulative.
Yeah, she is his hench person. Plain and simple. and he plays with her emotions to get her to do what he wants. And when she fucks up, he beats the shit out of her. And this is how it is. And apparently this was the relationship until Warner got a hold of it and said, you know, we need to make it not as bad as it really is for reasons, again. Like,
because Jared Leto went public and said, like, a lot of Joker's scenes were cut out of the film, never went into detail about what those scenes contained.
Exactly.
A lot of Joker wound up on the cutting floor.
Yep. So...
What's
up?
I said maybe his portrayal as Joker was just bad.
I don't really think he was that bad. People gave him a lot of shit, and I think, like, I mean, he's as different from what we know of the Joker as Heath Ledger was, but he's a little bit on the same wavelength as what the Joker is supposed to be. At least he's wearing suits and, you know, running with mafia guys and murking folks and stealing shit. That's what the Joker does. He just didn't have jokes. Like, no gags, no nothing. He was just psycho. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And it's like, why is it that, I guess, and this is another conversation that we can do as we go through this, but it's our superhero films suffer because the audiences have been trained to want realism ever since that shift. I think it started with the X-Men films and Casino Royale, and everything was getting dumbed down, and then Batman Begins came out and it was a wrap. Everybody's like, oh, it worked for Batman, so it can work for every superhero. And it's like,
which makes no sense.
It can't. Superheroes are fake. So what you need to do is establish a fake version of the world we live in, so that the events that happen in that world, they're believable in that world. You know, this is the same problem that made G.I. Joe suck. It can't be the real world. Otherwise, where was G.I. Joe when all these atrocities happened? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do that with these comic book characters unless the comic book is actually set in a real world. Marvel gets away with it because it's kind of an alternate real world, but they do actually, in the movies, they actually talk about the events. They actually tweak the timeline of, like, the appearance of superheroes to avoid superheroes actually being involved in some of the more recent atrocities that have happened around the world. And sometimes they even have villains directly involved. So they were slick about that. Whereas DC, it's like, when did superheroes show up? You trying to tell me that if Man of Steel only took place, a year and some change ago, and supposedly Batman has been Batman for over 20 years, and all these other villains we just learned about in Suicide Squad were all operating during that time? Like, come on, guys. They should have came up with an alternate, you know, like a timeline, like an alternate timeline, and, you know, introduce things a little bit differently. But
I know it's really bad when the New 52 premise works better than what the movie studio has done.
Exactly. Shit. But
and that premise really doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
The New 52 premise didn't work.
No, it didn't. It didn't work. I mean, a lot of people didn't even notice because people just buy shit, but, like, it didn't work. All the superheroes had only existed for like 5 years. So they condensed everybody's history down to 5 years ago. So, like, every Superman had just been there in 5 years. He lived, he died, he came back. He did all this shit in 5 years. Batman went through all 5 Robins in 5 years.
And they never met. Yeah. And they never met up until...
Which makes no goddamn sense at all. So, yeah, it's like the blind leading the blind. So, you know, and we also have Jeff Johns to thank for the New 52. Because a lot of that was him. You know what I mean? This was all, like, their answer to not fully committing to Flashpoint. And then finally saying, okay, we'll kind of commit to Flashpoint. So they made all these changes right after Flashpoint ended. And it's just like, oh, fuck, man. And then now to copy that, it failed in print, and now you're copying that on screen with all the millions of dollars being thrown around. I'm just like, man.
Yeah, he's gonna be Marvel's Kevin Feige right now. So because Zack Snyder's been bought further down, and now Jeff Johns is going to be the creative director or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah,
like the King DCEU.
The problem is that they should have had that to begin with. They should have had someone Like, they say Zack Snyder was that person, but all he was is producer on a lot of the films. So,
Yeah.
like, he wasn't directing the big picture because DC didn't have a big picture, or Warner didn't have a big picture. So I think it doesn't make sense when people blame him specifically when it's like, if you look at the rest of the films that are coming, you look at the scripts so far and what they've talked about doing, it's all different directors. It's not him. He's just giving money towards it or just, resources towards it. That's it.
Just get Goyer away from stuff and you might be better off.
Yeah, Goyer. Oh, Lord. Yeah, everybody knows how much I hate David Goyer. I hate him with a passion because his work sucks. The best thing he did had, and all the best things he worked on, he had help from, really good people. Like, he was part of the team that worked on the Dark Knight films, the Nolan trilogy. Why were they good? Not because of David Goyer, because he comes up with okay ideas and someone else actually realizes them and makes them better. But back to Suicide Squad. The things that, what things do you guys think worked in the films before we just completely rip this shit to shreds like the whole interwebs have already done?
Agent, you can go first.
I mean, obviously their looks. I mean, everybody looked the part. I really dug Katana. I wish they had used her a lot more.
Me too.
Okay.
Wow.
Some of their banter was good. I just have problems. I don't have that much that's good with the film.
Okay. What about you, Clarion? What do you think?
Mine was the same thing. I thought everybody did look the look of their was definitely cool. I liked the way that they played off one another. There were some cool scenes. I mean, like the Deadshot introductory scene was cool.
Yeah.
The introductory scene, like that was like where he was like squeezing the dude for more money, and then he's like, "Oh, good, now job," and that was it was a pretty slick shot.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was like, again, it wasn't awful.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Is nothing was 100% awful, but it wasn't good. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, it was very mediocre. Everything was like
The parts that would have made the movie like great were just completely fumbled.
yeah, like the action in the movie for me was. Actually, we're talking about good stuff, so okay, fine. I gotta save that for the next part. Katana was awesome. I wish there was more of her. Her look, the design for her specifically was so on point. With the funeral sash or ribbon holding the sword in place, that was dope. The fact that she was talking to the sword because her husband's spirit was in it and she's like still distraught over that shit, like that's dope. So she's like got a death wish. That's why she's going into gunfights with the fucking sword. But then on top of it, she's got skills, but they didn't really use her like they should. We didn't see her do shit, really. And they should have really had her more front and center. I liked Captain Boomerang. I think that was Jai Courtney's best role so far. Like, if he's smart, he better sign a 20-year contract to play Captain Boomerang till he fucking dies. Because, like, he sucks in so many films because they don't give him roles that fit his character. And he's not that good of an actor that he can really get into the role. You know what I mean? Like, he's okay, but he's not amazing I guess he's not a character actor. You know what I mean? He's kind of, Joel Kinnaman has that problem too. And we always made that joke about Sam Worthington, Joel Kinnaman, Jai Courtney, and I used to throw Michael Fassbender in there too because he's kind of generic, but he's a better actor than the three of those guys. But they all have that same kind of bewildered white guy look. Like, they just shave their head, scruff, they're white guys in shape, and that's it. You know what I mean? And you could almost interchange any role that the any of them have played with the other guy, and you'd get the exact same kind of performance. But with Captain Boomerang, though, this time we got, like, I forgot that Jai Courtney is Australian. I forgot. It's been so long since I heard him just talk without, like, putting on his American accent. So hearing him actually just talk and the shit he's saying and the way he's saying it and the fact he was so grimy and shit, you could tell he was having fun and it felt natural. So he worked. I just wish he was professional Captain Boomerang and not homeless Captain Boomerang because he's supposed to be better than that, to be fighting the Flash and actually having got the upper hand a couple times. Like this one looked like the Flash just beats on him for fun. You know what I mean? Like he didn't look
Yeah,
like...
kind of like Justice League Unlimited.
Well, no, in Justice League Unlimited, Captain Boomerang got the drop on the Flash several times.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, like, this guy didn't look like he could get the drop on the Flash. He was barely making it, man.
He was hobo with a boomerang.
Yeah, pretty much, man. What else? I guess some of the casting was really good. You could say, like, a lot of people looked the part. Like, Viola Davis looked the part. If the plot was more complex and they understood more about Amanda Waller other than her being hard as fuck and manipulating people, because that's not it with her. It's always she'll go to what seems like the extreme, and then you'll see that there's a point she won't go over. You know what I mean? She won't go past a certain point to achieve her goals, but she'll make it look like she will. Because go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I'll say, but that's also like kind of like she doesn't have any powers, but that's like the closest thing to a power she has.
Exactly.
She gets people to act against their nature.
Yeah. But I mean, like, and she does it without just senseless killing. And what I don't like about the portrayal in this film is that while she looked the part, she sounded the part, everything, she was just evil. And it's like, that's not who she is. So the casting works. It's kind of like what you said earlier. You could keep all the characters, keep all the actors in their roles, just rewrite how they do what they do. Redefine their character. You know what I mean? Fix all these inconsistencies. And then going forward, we'd have, like, really awesome fucking films. What else? People hate Cara Delevingne and how she was moving and shit. I don't mind. They're from another dimension, from another time. Why the fuck do they always have to act like some uncreative, moviegoer's idea of what a deity should be or what a superhuman should be? Like, you motherfuckers don't know shit about this stuff. You don't make anything. You watch. Why the fuck do we always? Why do we always have to conform to what an audience with little creativity thinks would be cool? Think about it. Following the audience's idea of cool has given us 50 years of white guys in shades and trench coats in action films, and that just automatically says
biker jackets.
Yeah, biker jackets, riding Harleys. That's it. That's like shorthand for badass. And it's not even the way that, like, that's one color of what a badass could be. Even when it's a female from fucking, that lives out in the country or lives in Alaska or whatever, somehow there's shades, a fucking Harley, a shotgun, and a trench coat. And it's like, really, that's it? And that's because they've been listening to what the fans say is badass. And it's like, you gotta expand. Even though there are movies, like a couple of my favorite films did that stereotype so much justice to the point where it's almost like no one else should use it. You know what I mean? Like The Matrix did it justice to the umpteenth degree. Terminator 2 did it justice to the umpteenth degree. But even Big Trouble in Little China, they flipped it on its head, but they also still kind of did it justice. But they need to stop following what the audience tells them is badass and, like, get writers to write convincing original characters so that now they can redefine what a badass is for this particular story. Because this is getting really annoying. The same shit. You see this. It's like anime. We used to complain about anime, how you'd see those archetypes.
I still complain.
Yeah, we still. Yeah. Well, I don't watch much anime anymore, so like, I don't have a frame of reference anymore for my complaint because I just gave up. I'm like, fuck it. I'll watch ones that catch my attention and don't follow those tropes, and those are so few and far in between. I hardly ever get to watch any anime.
Yeah.
But it's that same thing. You have these. Huh?
I was gonna say there was another scene, I guess, like that kind of caught my my eyes. Again, like those, they contain two of the best 3 actors in the movie. Scene where like where Deadshot showed what he could do, and that conversation with Flag, but he's really having a conversation with Waller.
Yeah,
I'm like that was kind of well done. I kind of liked how it's like one of those scenes where they just kind of let Will Smith be Will Smith.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that scripted.
Yeah.
That conversation was probably plotted, but it wasn't scripted.
Yeah.
And then but I like how that came off.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of slick.
It did look good. It looked real good, and it felt natural. Yeah,
Yes.
And it's weird because there's a lot of performances that feel like I wasn't buying Harley. I'm sorry. A lot of people love Harley and they say she's so great. Blah blah blah. Margot Robbie, whatever. She was funny. She was funny, but not the same way that Harley is funny. She seemed like a little kid. She seemed like a grown person acting like a little kid, whereas Harley is an adult who is aware of the fact that she's fucking crazy. And she doesn't do cute shit to be cute. She just does shit, and if that's the response, that's the response. She just does shit that's out of like it's out of the ordinary for an adult to do this. You know what I mean? Like she throws tantrums, which I guess you could still say is somewhat like a little kid. She fights with the wrong weapon in almost every situation. Like that big ass mallet thing that she carries. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't do that. Or like, all her gags and shit. Like, there's no way that shit should work. But then when it comes down to it, though, she'll drop that shit and knuckle up and actually fight. You know what I mean? We've seen her do it in the animated series so many times, In this, Harley was all over the place. And it was like there wasn't one characterization of the character that made sense. She was just there. Like when Joker dies after she pretty much dipped out on the team. And Joker doesn't die, but he's thought to be dead. The helicopter crashes. Huh?
I say, no, he can't be dead.
And she just shows up. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, cool.
I was going to say, that was kind of a weird thing, too.
Yeah, it's like,
and again,
was there like a whole scene that we missed?
Yeah, because, she still should have been kind of far from where they were.
They were heading towards the objective, and then she was sitting on top of the car.
And she was on a building.
Back to them.
When the helicopter went down, she was on a skyscraper elsewhere. How the fuck
did
she
end
up?
I know, but what I'm saying is they were after that shit happened. The rest of the team was walking towards wherever they needed to go.
Yeah. So how'd she get there?
Like the way I interpreted it is she went back to them. Like she hot-footed it back over there, and she was waiting for them on top of that car.
But how would she know that that's where they would end up?
I don't know. It's a movie. Like you said, it's a movie, man.
But no, I'm just saying, like, you think
I'm not putting that much thought into it because of how off the plot is.
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah, true.
You really running those heels.
Yeah, I know, right? She was doing hurricanranas and shit in heels. Get the fuck out of here. I don't know.
Yeah, this movie did show you that, like I said, if you have a name, you will not die in a helicopter crash.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Rolling over 5 and 6 times, multiple times, and you didn't die.
Exactly. Everybody gets out like, woo! What
I don't know, that shit again.
It should be, at least have, a sore back or something.
Yeah. I don't know. I dug El Diablo. He was probably one of the best things in the movie because I don't know shit about El Diablo. They actually pulled the character out of obscurity, and I had no fucking clue who he was. I don't remember seeing him ever in a comic. And I specifically read Batman books for a long time. I don't remember ever seeing him. And if he is a Batman villain, you are completely insulting our intelligence that Batman could beat that guy. Like, Batman would just show up in the fucking, Vato Central and shit, and not only beat all the Vatos and all the essays and shit, and then turn around and fight him. Like, no, I'm sorry. No, I don't care.
I did think it was kind of funny in his flashback, though. He's like sitting there having dinner with his family,
with all
and
the
everyone
tats.
else looks normal, and he's all tatted up from head to toe.
That's how it is.
His face.
That's how it is.
No.
But he was cool though. He was cool up to the part where he was like, "Those are my friends, man. You can't mess with my friends." And I'm like, "Whoa!" And this is where we go into all the shit that didn't work.
Yeah.
Shit for me that didn't work is the motivations of characters made no sense. Will Smith told there's a scene where Harley has her flashback, and then I guess Deathstroke Deadshot, sorry. Deadshot approaches her, and then she pulls the gun out at him as she snaps out of her little daydream, and she asks him if he's ever been in love, and he's like, you don't kill as many people as I killed, and then go to sleep, and it's all, kittens and lollipop and shit like love. And I'm like, wait a second, because just 20 minutes ago, we saw your flashback, and you were remembering how much you love your daughter. So you do experience love when it's convenient, I guess, for the plot, even though you don't say it. And that seems to be his personality in the film, is like he keeps his emotions in check because he's a hitman. And that's like an old characterization. I get that. Even Deathstroke in the comics wouldn't say something that stupid. He'd find a way not to answer it. Find a smooth way to imply that he does without actually saying it. You could tell just based on the fact that he said something. Yeah, he feels those things. But it just was so stupid how we just saw you showing how much you love your daughter, and now you say you don't love shit? Like, then what the fuck are you even here for? You could have been like, nah, I'll just serve out my sentence. Or I'll figure out how to get out on my own. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have been like, oh shit, I can get to see my daughter? Oh, fuck, yeah, I'll do that shit. So, yeah, characterizations were weird. Or like, Rick Flag is like one of those good old boy lifelong soldiers comes from a line of soldiers and shit, but he's not evil. So, and I could be wrong about this because there could have been books where some writer wrote him with a little kind of an evil streak or a evil tendency of some sort, because a lot of soldiers, you hear about shit soldiers have done where it's kind of a ends justifies the means situation. He wouldn't kill innocent folks in cold blood for the sake of doing so. What I always got from his characters, he was another one of those goody goods. He would be forceful, but he wouldn't just outright do evil shit. When Waller kills off her support staff for no fucking reason, he's just like, I've done shit. What? So you're just, that's just commonplace is what they're saying? Like, that's how it works? Like, it just felt like too many characters were all over the place, and the consistency they needed was all the villains needed to really do fucked up shit, and sometimes they would egg each other on, and maybe sometimes they would be like, yeah, that's fucked up even for you as a villain. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just didn't feel like, they didn't feel all like, the people who should have felt like villains didn't feel like villains. And the people who were supposed to be heroes, they presented them as villains. With the exception of Batman, of course.
Yeah, there was a little bit of like commentary and like some between characters, or some times where they addressed that. But yeah, that would have been a nice little dichotomy too. Again, you have this like government official who's like trying to do the right thing, and like this like highly decorated, incredibly capable soldier. If they kind of so often the villains along for the ride should have been like, and I'm the one in jail,
yeah,
or something like that. Like somebody should have said that line at some point. It's like, but the actions wouldn't necessarily have like depicted that. But it would have been a cool way to kind of show, once again, the job done. I guess there's some stuff that's not necessarily off the table.
Yeah, and like, you remember there was a and this is a whole different thing, but it's along those lines. Do you remember there was that X-Force? It might have even been, it included the X-Men too. There was like an X-Men story, or a more recent one, where Apocalypse was like reincarnated. He was a baby.
Oh yeah, they had trouble killing him.
Everyone was trying to figure out, should we kill him or not? I think Cyclops was like, we got to kill him, and everybody was like,
no, it was Archangel, Phantom X, Psylocke, Wolverine, and Deadpool.
Yeah, but all of the team didn't want to kill him. Deadpool didn't give a shit, but everybody.
No, he even said he had trouble, because I read that shit. It was like maybe 4 or 5 issues long, and even he said he had trouble like with killing a kid. And I'm like, wait a minute, funny. Now all of a sudden you've got a conscience, because I wasn't buying it, and that was one of the things I wasn't feeling about that whole storyline.
Yeah, I didn't feel the
characters. It made sense. Like I could see Psylocke not wanting to kill a child, or Archangel, or any of the actual core X-Men. But when they got to Deadpool, and even Deadpool had issues with it.
He would have made a joke and just killed the baby. Like, it would have been done. I mean, like, I don't even like Deadpool, but I know that's the way he would handle stuff. Even Cable would have problems doing that shit, and Cable's hard as fuck. But my point of bringing it up was, in that story, you saw a situation where characters, I mean, they didn't do it right given the characters that they used, but still the reactions, like, this is what needs to be done. Can you do it? And people are like, yeah, I don't think I can do it. This is wrong. This is fucked up. We needed that in Suicide Squad, and we never really got that, you know?
I think that just goes into the rest of the inconsistency with the characters. Like, you had parts where they're like, yeah, we're villains, and we like to do bad things. But then all of a sudden, later on, they're like, they want to play the part of the hero. They all of a sudden get inspired to do good near the end of the movie, and there's that line where Deadshot's telling them Flag that they have to remember what they did today. The world has to know what we did. That we can be heroes too. And but then he turns. But then I don't know. It was like they kept jumping back and forth throughout the film between wanting to be bad, but then all of a sudden wanting to do the right thing, and it felt inconsistent and just disjointed as fuck.
Yeah, I agree.
Balton Arkham movie did a way better job of the villains, like, still acting being like villains, even though they're doing a mission.
Yeah, I agree.
And I hate that fucking movie.
Me too. I didn't like it either. I mean, the fights were okay and stuff, but the movie just didn't feel like it didn't feel like the Arkham universe. And that's what they were trying to tell you that it was. They were like, oh, it takes place in the Arkham universe. And I'm like, but, like, isn't the Arkham universe, like, really dark and, like, really, like, everything's dirty and, like, I don't know. It's more serious than this. Like, it just felt like the wrong tone.
Definitely the wrong tone. That Guy Ritchie movie style.
Yeah,
that they were trying to go for.
But I didn't dig that shit. The inconsistencies with their character. I didn't dig a lot of the action, man. I hate when action films cut 50 times for one movement. I mean, David Ayer's a good director, but, like, you didn't need to be cutting 50 times for one move. Like, there's times where, Dead Shot would be shooting shit, and they would cut from close up to, like, mid. But you'd never see the guns. You just hear the sound effects and see people falling. And I'm like, I get it. Maybe you want to save money. Maybe your effects team didn't have, enough. Maybe you didn't have the budget to just have him gatting off on shit. But, like, if you knew that one of your characters gats off on shit, then you should have had that as part of your script. That should be a visual that we get a lot of, They implied a lot of things, and, like, I don't know, they just didn't go over like, I want to see Katana going nuts with her sword, you know what I mean? I wanted to see, when the Enchantress actually throws down with them, I want to see her doing crazy shit, and I want to be able to see it. I couldn't really understand a lot of the fighting that was going on, especially towards the end of the movie when they're all in silhouette and shit, fighting against the background of the swirly madness that the Enchantress created. It just, the Gozer cloud. That shit was just not cool, man. It was like let me see what's going on. Be creative with the action. Nothing was really that creative. I mean, it just felt like they tried to make Harley look like she's some kind of, badass or something. She didn't belong in the movie to begin with, and I don't care if she's on the Suicide Squad. She's comic relief in the comics whenever she's in those books. And the New 52 version of Harley Quinn can fight. Like, that's her thing, one of her things. She's not just a gymnast. She actually, like, is a martial artist. What's the deal with this Harley Quinn? Like, she just looks like she's got Riri strength or something, or crazy strength. And that's it. She uses a bat, and that's it. She's a little crazy. I mean, she's not as crazy as what we've seen in the past. She rationalizes shit, like, she acts like a person. She doesn't act like she's out of her mind.
What they should have done with her was what they actually did in Assault on Arkham that I actually liked was, whenever, like, when Captain Boomerang threw his boomerang and then caught it, and he was, like, all boasting about how good he is, and then she says, you have separation issues, and, like, she was, like, actually, like
evaluating him.
They didn't do any of that in the movie.
Yeah.
No, So he did that to what's name once, but it was just one line. So he did it to Deadshot once, but it was one line
I don't even remember.
about. It wasn't. Maybe it was her answer when he said something about like like whether he'd ever been in love, and that's what he said is like you can't do what I do and like sleep at night. He said something about like typical like
sociopath. Yeah.
typical social tendency or something like that, and I'm like, she's right.
And that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, that should have been like again, and that's the beginning of a dialogue, not like a one-off thing that you don't mention again. It's
exactly.
Like maybe you like show like what's name, maybe now friggin' reflective on that statement, and they go back to it in a couple minutes. But nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, I guess it just felt like they didn't do enough with a lot of what they had, and they had a good start. A lot of stuff was good. It would have been cool too if the twist was Enchantress actually couldn't do what she was trying to do. Like she wasn't, like it was all orchestrated to look like she was, gonna be able to create this crazy ass machine, and she couldn't. And the whole thing is a test to see if this team could actually do what they need them to do. And then maybe have the Joker have been the main villain, or someone else be the main villain. You know what I mean? Like I'm tired of the Joker. I honestly thought they were gonna use Deathstroke as the background villain, because there were talks about Deathstroke being one of the members in it, and that was why they got him off of Arrow, because he was going to be in Suicide Squad, which would have made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has been on the Suicide Squad along with Black Manta, which would have been dope. Like, it would have been better if the villains reflected the cast of the Justice League, and then you would have had a better, more hard-hitting team to, like, deal with some shit, But I think overall, the problem with the film is the scope of the film was way too big given what you used. The tools you had say that we should have got like a B-movie style, action film where it's like, this is the boss, kill the boss. You get your freedom, like Escape from New York type shit, Go in, save this person, kill the boss. That's it. It could have been real simple.
Kind of felt like a video game, too.
Yeah.
It was like they went in that first area and they cleared out all the faces minions, and like then you could hear like the little music playing, and then they went in the hood and there were more faceless minions and they cleared them out, then they moved to the next stage.
Yep. Yeah, it's so strange, man.
The more and more I think about it, the premise of Arkham, Assault on Arkham works so much better.
Yeah, it does.
In this movie.
It does.
I looked at the shot, and then that's why I immediately thought, because I remember you had the review on Assault on Arkham, and you said you didn't really like it, but I'm looking, and then just the one out of everybody standing there, I'm like, wait, did David Ayer just kind of borrow from this? But
oh yeah, he totally did.
Yeah, I'm like, but he didn't borrow
with Joker dying, it's straight from Arkham.
Yeah.
Assault on Arkham. Only it wasn't Deadshot leaving the Joker in the helicopter like in the animated movie.
Yeah.
Few things, but the way it played out was exactly the same.
We didn't borrow.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Like they should have went in Arkham Asylum for something. I honestly would take a Arkham Asylum, like a live action version of that, of Assault on Arkham, if they just wrote it better.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just not a good
references or whatever.
What happened? You went out for a second.
I said they got rid of the. I was saying if they had gotten rid of the Guy Ritchie movie style and just did something else,
I agree.
A little bit better, I would actually be okay with live action Assault on Arkham.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. So overall, the movie was just like meh. Like I left the theater kind of like ugh. Like it was. There were little things I liked because it will be cool in the future to see some of these guys in a better film going up against their arch nemesis or whatever. But like in this film, it didn't really feel like they did the concept of Task Force X justice. I like the fact that we got to see Belle Rev like on screen, so we know what it looks like. It exists in the cinematic universe, but those are all really small things that anybody could have gotten right. My gripe now is that this is the third movie from the DCEU. Ugh, that name.
Technically, technically, don't forget Man of Steel's in it, but Man of Steel was created without that in mind.
Yeah, I know. But they still consider it the first of the. It was supposed to usher in the new DC universe, that cinematic universe. So you now have 3 movies featuring DC characters in this particular style, and all of them were financial successes in the theater. As far as like box office goes, but they were critical flops because people hated every last one of them, and it seemed like it's disproportionate, the amount of people who hate it versus the amount of people that love it. Man of Steel, I don't think is nearly as bad as people said it was. Hell,
at this rate, it's the best movie out of the bunch.
It is for real. And God, what was I about to say about BVS, the Ultimate Edition? It fixes a lot of the issues that the movie has, that the theatrical version has. It's still not a perfect film by any means, but it's so much better than the theatrical cut, and it makes the conflict feel that much more real and more understandable why the two would be going to blows. But how things happen was still lackluster in some ways. And the fight, besides Batman's fight with all those regular people, it's like he's the ultimate bully. When he fights regular people, he's like beating the shit out of them, looking like a G. Then he fights superhumans, and it's like, womp, womp. Like, you barely could deal with someone who's supposed to be on your level. Like, I don't know. But it was still just kind of, And now we have this, and they still haven't really 100%. I don't know. Like, it's like they're not learning from their mistakes. I don't know. What else?
Good things about Justice League. Like I hear good things about Justice League, like it's heading in the right direction. But I mean, well, we won't know until it actually comes out. But one of the things I was thinking about the other day, it was I said it in our first attempt to do this video. There's an Ultimate Edition of Suicide Squad. I hope that's not the case, but if that's going to be their MO, is you put out a half-assed movie, and then if it does well enough, you keep going, and then you put out an Ultimate Edition DVD Blu-ray set, then I'm going to be pretty much done with the DCEU because we already have DLC for video games. We don't need DLC for movies.
Yeah, I agree.
If it be twice, I'm not doing it, no.
Yeah, I agree.
And like I said, what was funny is that, like, again, they heard the disapproval, the bad review for BVS, and I don't know how quickly they announced the edition, but then it came out, and you said, Strident and a lot of other people agreed, like, wow, okay, that kind of makes it a little clearer. I'm like, then why didn't you just release that person to begin with?
Exactly.
How do you think that you don't need to explain certain details? I mean, again, the sad part about Suicide Squad is if they do it, then they just have to find out, release, like, of the movie that exists.
Yeah, it's just bad planning. God, it's such bad planning.
Yeah, because there's Air's Cut, which I assume is more like, Fury with, like, the movie Fury, not Nick Fury.
Uh-huh.
The movie Fury with superpowers. Friggin', like, Hot Topic puked on solenoid, that trailer park would have made. They tried to split the difference, and it didn't work ultimately.
Exactly. I don't know.
Shit! There was one. Sorry, what were you about to say?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna point out the use of licensed music in that movie.
Oh my god!
Like they went too far with it, trying to ape off of what one of the things that made Guardians of the Galaxy fun to watch.
And Guardians picked appropriate music, like. They picked songs because there was one word or one line in the song that matched.
Yeah, like, hey, better, swing. And then she swung the bat and hit whoever, hit the monster or whatever.
So whack. It was like, are you kidding me? You could have saved half your budget and used only one of those damn songs. You know what I mean? Like, think about how expensive that was.
Yeah.
I mean,
most of that stuff was under like Warner
Warner
Brothers.
Brothers, yeah, I think so too.
Still,
But I'm thinking the same thing. It was like it was just flowing. Name used their music to kind of like more so set a mood.
yeah,
Guardian Galaxy, rather than just like you said, have the one line or like the one verse that like what's happening.
yeah.
But yeah, like dude, when I heard that damn song from like K7, I'm like, man, I haven't heard this song in friggin' 20 years, and I was a streak that didn't need to be broken.
I like K7. I like that song because he didn't really make anything else. But you know what I mean? That was when we were in like 7th or 8th grade when that shit came out. Remember?
Yeah, I mean it was a hot song at the time. Yeah,
it's just like it was a little nostalgic, but it didn't fit. It didn't need to be used for that film, like in that moment. And I know I'm not the director, so who am I to say that shit? But it does feel like they just went overboard. Like, you could have used a different song and got the same effect and made a better film and saved some of your fucking money for your budget, not buying all these damn usage of all these songs for one fucking line. I'm like, ugh. From the introductions to all the characters. I mean, literally, it was like, you could have picked one song that covered everything that was going on with all the characters in the intro. Instead, each character, with the exception of, I think, Captain Boomerang, they all got independent, like, different songs. And it's like, what? Really? Why couldn't you just get the guy who composed... I don't even know who the composer was. I wasn't paying attention because I was just frustrated when I left.
I don't know.
You could have got the guy who composed the music to just make themes for each of these characters. That's what his fucking job is. You know what I mean? Like, man.
Compose. I don't think they did it because I don't think they did it for Captain Boomerang because even though he got his little intro movie, was the shortest of all the people that got because it was in the bank, and then he took out his freaking partner, and then Flash showed up, and then that was it. Yep. Wasn't even worth. It wasn't even worth it to like have a freaking like intro movie for that.
Well, I mean, when he was in the prison, because when he was in prison and he was screaming, "Let me out!" Like, somebody, please let me out. You don't understand. I can't be in here. Let me out. Each person, there was music playing for each of them when they went through the cells.
That's right.
It just was stupid, though. It just was like, you went. It's like they just went overboard in the wrong areas. Like, when are they going to go overboard in the action? You have all these characters that are capable of such awesome shit, and they're not going crazy. Like, I'm still surprised that there's no superhero film out there except for The Winter Soldier that has fights that can hold a card or a candle to, like, the shit in the Matrix. And people can shit on the Matrix all they want, but Matrix and Matrix Reloaded had some of the most inventive action, even if it looked choreographed when they're doing their kung fu, because that's the style they wanted for the film, like the old school, almost wuxia film choreography. Still, the fights in the Matrix made sense and they looked good. Shit was clean as fuck. Ain't I clean though? But like, none of these movies have that. Even Watchmen had better fights, like where you saw how good the people were. Like when Ozymandias was kicking what's his name? That fight in the beginning when he beats up the comedian, when he beats the fucking what's the guy's name? Rorschach and Night Owl. Like, what was his name? It's Night Owl, right?
The Owl or Night Owl. Yeah, one of those.
when he's beating them up at the very end, when he's explaining his theory, all that choreography was so good. I mean, when he was fighting with his back to him, he's fighting two guys at the same time with his back to him, and this guy wasn't even superhuman, you know?
Yeah.
Yet here you have the archetypes that even those characters were based off of, and we don't get shit. We don't get shit like, Man of Steel had some okay fights for superhuman people going back and forth. They're actually really damn good. But Batman v Superman did not have fights on the level they should. Like, we should have been seeing Matrix level shit from Batman when he was fighting Superman in that suit. You know what I mean?
Well, even the Doomsday fight should have been Matrix level.
Yeah, with him dodging shit by a hair instead of just hiding
Yeah.
and sneak and fucking trying to snipe people. It's like they don't get what they have. Think about all the fights we saw in Justice League Unlimited. People can say it's a cartoon all they want, but it's directed like it's a fucking movie. All the fights are so cinematic. There's choreography. Freaking Joaquin Dos Santos. He is a fuck. They call him Dr. Fight because he can choreograph a mean ass fight scene. He choreographed 95% of the fights in Korra and Avatar: The Last Airbender. He choreographed so many of the fights in all the animated DC films. And Jay Oliver is another one. Those guys make shit work. And they take full advantage of all of the skill sets of all the characters they have fighting. And it makes it feel worth it, even if the story that fight accompanies is kind of meh. At least the fight it got you there. It made you happy. You know what I mean? Because you got to see something. This piece was top notch, and the rest was, meh. So this makes up for what you just sat through to get to that point. Kind of like
it was weird. Jay Oliver's name was in the credits of Batman vs Superman.
Wow.
And they just didn't utilize him.
That's
like
sad. That's sad. He's like, okay, I'll take the check.
Maybe he like showed up on set like a couple days, but like really didn't do anything, so they put him in the credits.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it just hurts though when you see this stuff and you're like, here's Marvel taking their B, C, and D list characters and making them A-list characters, giving us fight scenes that are awesome, giving us action and story beats that work. And then DC has the legends, like the guys that kind of started this shit, and they're not doing anything with them. People, remember I predicted that with Batman, everyone's like, Ben Affleck kind of sucks. He's not going to be a great Batman. I'm like, really? All they have to achieve is a good suit, a good Batmobile, and he has to look mean. That's it. The stunt double is going to do the fighting for him, and the camera work is going to make him look like a badass, and everyone's going to love him. Batman is like interchangeable. You can easily put any buff white dude in the suit and get your choreography team together, and at least if he beats the shit out of one person in the film, 90% of the population watching the film is going to say Batman was the best thing in the film. So, like, I don't understand why there's such a focus on making Batman so cool. Like, I was watching the behind-the-scenes shit in BVS, and they were talking about, there's like 4 featurettes just about Batman. And I'm like, really? What happened to Superman? They've perfected Batman in '89. Like, we don't even need you to tell us what you did. All you did was you did your version of what Tim Burton did with Batman in 1989. And essentially that's what everyone does. Like, everybody makes a cool suit, a cool car, a cool Batcave, and then a couple gadgets. That's it. You know what I mean? And then keep trying to make him meaner and meaner and meaner. But the standard was set in 1989. It's like, okay, we get it already. Now, what are you doing with Superman? What are you doing to make Superman stand out? What are you doing to make him accurate? What are you doing to, like, push him? Now that he fights, how does he fight? What's the choreography?
We're making him.
Huh?
We're making him frown a lot. Be sad and reflect.
You can't have 4 featurettes about Superman when he's not in the movie.
I know, right? Unfortunately, yeah. Shit sucks, man. I'm like, this is garbage. They're not taking the right approach. Everything, all their resources and time should be put into making Superman and Wonder Woman, making them work, because Batman is a built-in success. You don't have to do shit, and kids are going to gravitate to Batman anyway. He's already successful. You don't have to do shit. It's the other characters that need attention and time and effort, and they need like a little extra something on the screen to make them work. I mean, I'm impressed with what they've been doing with Wonder Woman, because like the Spartan version of Wonder Woman that we've been getting in the recent years, that's pretty much what she should be. You know, instead of the pretty, kind of soft, kind of like female Christopher Reeve Superman, where she's telling you, these little quips and facts about women's rights and blah, blah, blah. Like, come on, that's too heavy-handed. She can still have the edge and not necessarily, preach to you. You know what I mean? Like, about that kind of shit. But
I think we're still going to get a little bit of that in the film.
Oh, yeah, they showed in the trailer.
At that end, but
they showed in the trailer when she is introduced to Etta Candy.
Yeah.
She's like, that's the secretary. And she's like, secretary? She's like, yeah, I just do whatever he needs me to do, and blah blah blah. Come when he calls, and she's like, that's slavery where I come from.
I love you. I everything about you, and I'm like, okay.
I don't have any problem with it. You know, the line was handled. The line was executed and set up properly. It didn't beat you over the head with it. It was funny.
Yeah, yeah.
It was funny ultimately.
Yeah, it was funny. So I'm just saying, like, there was a time where her characterization was she would literally show up, beat the bad guy, and preach the whole time.
Oh yeah.
And now what they've moved towards is the more like actions first and then explanation later, and like her actions speak in volumes where people are like, shit, she's actually taking control of the situation as opposed to waiting for someone else to do it. You know, she actually isn't standing. She fought Doomsday like they were equals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Superman was struggling.
Like, she should have killed him. I'm sorry.
I know. That's how I felt too. Like, she should have taken the spear and fucking javelin that shit at him. Like, fucking Olympic
She
style.
didn't even need the spear.
Yeah.
She could have cut his arms and legs off, and he'd have been flopping around on the ground, and then she would have just stabbed him in the head. Done.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I don't get. It's like, again, how do you let him like reach this conclusion? Like, I have to do this. No, you don't. You have another superpowered individual right next to you. Give the spear to her.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why they should have never did Doomsday.
And yeah, literally, like every single inch of Doomsday in a movie where so many things don't make sense. Because Luthor is like, I created this thing to kill you. You have no idea what it's gonna do.
Yeah, exactly.
Ramming it was like literally, he's got my blood. Like, and he still tried to kill you. The first thing he did when he you into oblivion.
Yeah. And if it weren't for Superman being there, he would have been dead. No more Luthor.
Yes, exactly. But to loop this back real quick, because you were still talking about the choreography, I got to ask you then, who in the Suicide Squad movie, besides Katana, like, is really capable of that level of like fighting, though?
Well, I keep saying Deathstroke. God, Deadshot. They should have come up with a gun kata style for him since he's got guns on his wrists. You know what I mean? Like, if he gets close to Batman, what's he gonna do? Shoot him? So he better be punching and shooting at the same time.
Yeah.
Fantasy. Clearly, that's all he wants to do.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So it's a no-brainer. Gun kata. Okay, you already got Roadblock's fucking jacket on or his bulletproof vest on. Just go the whole way and make him do gun kata and call it a fucking day. Characters like you said Katana, Flag should be really proficient. You saw in Task Force X, the episode of Justice League Unlimited, he took down a bunch of superhumans with like WWE type shit. And it looked good. It looked good. He took out Vigilante, Shining Knight, fucking God, who was the other person? Blue Devil or somebody? It was like a lesser known, lesser used character, but still, he was taking people out with like double-footed, drop kicks and shit, fucking DDTing people and, arm dragging folks. It looked so good. It's like, okay, what would be the real world equivalent of that? He would be doing CQC, so he should be like getting up close to people and kempoing the fuck out of them and fucking jujitsuing the fuck out of folks, like, I don't know.
Taking people down, like you said, like slamming people, like stuff like that. Like you said, like not like grabbing you by your leg and like spinning you around.
No.
But like you said, grabbing an arm and like just
breaking it, putting you down on the ground, fucking like The Hunted. Did you see The Hunted? You remember that movie with Benicio del Toro and Tommy Lee Jones?
Yeah.
And all that knife shit, all that Kali and Eskrima and Arness, we should be seeing that with these soldiers because he's supposed to be the shit, Especially when it's a life or death situation and you're fighting things that you have to kill. He shouldn't be fucking around with just his pistol. When they get close and he runs out of ammunition, that knife needs to be out. So yeah, they could have tweaked things. Like even Croc. We should have seen at least 2 or 3 scenes where Croc was doing some WWE type shit. You know what I mean?
Not even that. All he used to do was just hit hard.
Yeah.
All those mindless ones that were running around the city, he should have just been straight cold cocking people.
But I'm saying, like, you know how like WWE films, when the way that the choreography is filmed in a lot of those movies, they glorify some of those really heavy special moves that the guys use in the ring. They should have shot his action like that. So like when he chokes someone and picks them up with one hand and slams them, glorify the fuck out of that and use creative camera angles for it. Or like when he slaps somebody and they go flying into cars well on the other side of the street. We should have seen that. Or if he misses a punch and he hits something, the car should fold up around him or close to it, you know, because he's not quite Bane, but he is fucking strong, you know? Like, they didn't do anything to set anyone apart from anyone else except Harley had the busiest fucking fight scenes. They were just busy as fuck. I'm like, she shouldn't look better than Katana.
Crazy only takes you so far.
That was my other thing with the film. Like, I know I know you have your two headliners, and they ultimately have to have the most screen time. But it felt like it was just way too unbalanced with the screen time with Harley and Deadshot, just because, you know, it's Margot and Will Smith. I mean, I know people go to the movies specifically to see those characters or those actors, but, you know, at least with Guardians, it still felt like everybody got a good amount of screen time and a good amount of character exposition. You got enough info about all the characters that well-rounded and full-on characters. And I mean, you definitely didn't get that in Suicide Squad.
Well, it felt like in Guardians, the script dictated who got the most screen time, and not like the story and the situation did. Not the fact that you were the more well-known actor. If that makes any sense, you know.
Yeah, they all felt like they went through like an arc. They all started in some place, and like you could actually see them progress to the place where they were.
Yep.
To a different place by the end of the movie, instead of in Suicide Squad, everybody obviously starts off in a place, and then I guess they all take like a hard left in the bar. That's when all your character development happens, like right there. It's like inarguably like when nothing changed about Harley when she remembered at her later on when she saw herself jumping into the vat. Nothing changed about her. She just thought about it again.
Yep.
Like, yeah, there was nothing, but like you said, it was nothing that the plot dictated that said these characters had a really.
Yeah. I don't know, man. They missed a lot. To me, they missed a lot of opportunities to make this shit worthwhile. You had good characters to work with. The characterizations have already been planned out for you because the character's been around for a long time. They've been in multiple forms of media. I mean, games. There's so many games that got these characters right. Like, fucking Arkham. The Arkham games got Harley right. She's never a threat to Batman or Robin or Batgirl. She's just there. It's like she'll create a situation in which she's a threat, but she physically by herself, they will beat the shit out of her 9 times out of 10. Unless she gets the drop on them, there's no fucking way she stands a chance. And then here you have her in this book, like, in this movie, I mean, like, she's got superhuman strength and blah, 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 all because Margot Robbie's playing her. It's like, come on, write the character appropriately. It just didn't feel right, you know?
Or at least if you're going to do the New 52 version, actually have her do fight choreography instead of just overpowering everyone with her baseball bat.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and even if she was using a baseball bat, like, they should just had her look like fucking Jackie Chan with a baseball bat, because I mean, he's used that shit in movies and looked like a badass doing it. So I mean, they could have done something similar to that.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, it was just this movie more than the other two even was like, again, like you said, with Man of Steel, your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
And BVS was the theatrical release of BVS was not good.
Yeah.
And the extended cut was better.
Yeah.
But it's like this one was like, it was the one where you thought that they would break it because there's not a lot of buzz with that trailer, but there wasn't a lot of weight of expectation of, like, you know, how other characters were represented, except that big bugaboo of the Joker.
Yeah.
are they going to do the Joker this time? But other than that, nobody knows who these characters are. So like, just present them in an interesting way. Have them do something cool.
Yep.
Like nobody's going to be really upset if you don't represent El Diablo the way that he was in the comics because he wasn't really around all that long.
Yeah.
Instead, we got, like you said, this like overly focus grouped, overly friggin' edited thing. So that ultimately, it's the most disappointing to me because it was just giant missed opportunity to really do something different.
Yeah.
Like this should have literally been like the anti-Avengers in a lot of ways because you have these come together because like not necessarily because they want to, but literally because they have to.
Yep.
And you pair them with other people who like work. You pair them with other government people who 80 at times. It's like again, like no one is doing really good things or good things for good reasons.
Yeah.
Up and you let that be the focus. And like you said, if it turns out that this movie turns out to be about freaking Croc and let them get some screen time. Seriously, like you said, because they signed Will Smith and Margot Robbie, like Harley and Deadshot were absolutely the most significant parts of this movie.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's definitely, like you said, to the detriment of everyone else. Like Croc doesn't have to go on some big 5-minute speech about how people view him and like this is part of why the way he is, but like he got maybe 6 lines in the whole movie.
It's true.
And then not all of them were very good. Like, can we get BET? Like, I was so mad when I heard that line.
Like that's what he wanted for all the stuff that he was doing. And I mean, and like friggin' Slipknot. I mean, I don't know the dude personally, but apparently the actor was kind of difficult on set, so I guess it was good for them that he didn't hang around for very long.
Well, but Michael Beach is like a pretty well-known actor. Like he's pretty good. He's been in a lot of shit. Why'd they get him to play such a bit part?
Yeah, they could have been there. They could have stuck other Joe in there for all it.
Yeah, they could have had a stunt person play that role, and just kill him off and be done.
Again, he literally had 2 lines of dialogue in the whole movie. It's like it really didn't matter. All he had to do was stand there in his gear, and then he had one scene where he had to do stuff. It was like get pulled up by a friggin' by a winch so you could go flying, and then bam.
I know.
If you're still
zip line into freedom.
I know, right?
It was like, but yeah, it was again, and it was so to me that's what it was. It was just a giant. Just missed opportunity. This one, that's why this one kind of hurts.
Yeah,
I'm disappointed in this more because, again, everything that Batman v Superman was trying to do, there was no way in hell that was going to be a successful movie. You just couldn't.
Yep.
When it was again, like Guardians, where dude, no one knows anything about these people. You don't have to even explain how they're humans and humanoid life forms in space. We're not even going to do that. We're just going to cut right to telling the story.
Yep.
Oh, it was awesome. The soundtrack was amazing. But with Suicide Squad, it was again, the whole struggle of trying to make it fit into everything they were doing. So,
yeah. Tried too much, too hard, doing the wrong shit.
Yeah, ultimately, they tried too much with this, too. I'm just tell a cool story with, again, all these bad guys forced to do something good. Even portray them as bad guys. What? What's the name? Stole somebody's watch. Captain Boomerang stole a watch. That was it. That was as bad as it got.
Yeah, there's good people that do that shit out of desperation, and that's what they. That's what they. That's what qualified him as a villain. It's come on, guys.
He'd be thieving. He'd just be thieving. He can't even help himself. And then he left the bar. What would have been funny is when Flag destroyed the that had everybody's friggin' kill switch on it.
Yeah.
It's when Boomerang had left, they said you guys can go, and he runs out of the bar. And he had some necklaces on or something like that, or if he was clearly had something else that he had just picked up, but he said he felt bad.
Yeah.
Kind of would have been funnier, but no, it looked like he just literally walked to the end of the block and then just came back. I can't leave you guys again. Like maybe a line or two of dialogue helps that too, but no, it needs to happen because the plot needs it to happen.
It's just fucking bad, man. There's just too much of them not paying attention like they need to in order for this shit to work, you know? Hopefully when they do their next version, they pick a better lineup, because you need that. You need a better lineup. You need better action. You need a smaller, the stakes need to be smaller. Instead of having...
Please, better actors. Please.
Better actors, you said?
No, please, better action at the very least.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I agree. Better action.
You're beating on faceless minions the entire movie.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because faceless minions, even Power Rangers gets that shit right. Where they can floss on these faceless minions all day long, and then they get to the villain, the boss, the main villain, and that's where they struggle. You didn't even get that here. It was like you had faceless minions, they didn't do shit. They barely fought them enough for you to be like, damn, that was cool. It was like that Beirut bullshit where fucking war correspondents cam, where like you're just watching them shoot stuff, kind of shaky cam, kind of shit obstructing the action, and then it's done. Nothing stood out. We need them to not do that shit, man. That's really all they would have to do to fix all this shit, honestly.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
We definitely need a better lineup, man. They need to use badass characters and don't dig from Batman's well of characters. Just better characters from the DC pantheon and call it a day.
I don't even know why you can't take some of the Suicide Squad's better storylines and just adapt those to film or reference just enough while doing your own thing.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, they can even still have these people in the movies, like they can appear in character-centric stuff. Like, just like you said, do not have them represent. Do not have all of them represent the Suicide Squad again. Like, have some of them show up in solo movies or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to like this movie a lot. I really, really did.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to seeing this film. It just sucks that it didn't turn out right.
And like I said, when you look at it, like again, like the fact that characters get introduced 2 and even 3 times, I'm like that first scene. She is at the dinner talking to Detective Masters from Equalizer, and then they both go and they talk to the Joint Chiefs at the Pentagon. I'm like, you are literally going over the same information again. To this, except who is present. And then when they go to the prison, the guard freaking like introduces everybody to like another prison guard. Was that jackass's first day?
Yeah,
like what? Because if it's your first day at Bel Rev, like I would think you would still need to know who these people are. Like before, I would assume you would have heard of them by now. But no, instead he walks through the cells. Yeah, this guy, big old crocodile. I don't know why. They introduced some characters 3 friggin' times.
I agree.
And that winds up being over 2 hours. If you would like smashed all this stuff a little better, you could save like 15 minutes.
Yep. I agree. It's weird, man. I just want them to, Suicide Squad was essentially just, it was a missed opportunity. And what I want is for them to go back and amp up everything that was lacking. Amp up your story, amp up your action, amp up even the look of the characters. Because, like, that Harley suit, they did better in Arkham City.
Yeah.
Just stop trying to make them trendy and just give us a good representation of their look in comics or, in media, and then go from there. Stop trying.
Wasn't her original suit in that box she opened up anyway?
Yeah, and they show her in the suit.
In the onesie.
The flashback, in the onesie, the full-on suit with the hat and everything.
Yeah.
In that quick flashback where they do the whole Alex Ross Mad Love cover.
Yeah.
And I was like, people said it didn't look good. I'm like, but it's not really supposed to look good. She's crazy. Like, everyone forgets. Like, it's stupid even in the comics that she's running around in a Harlequin costume. She just looks sexy because the artists typically draw a nude body and put the lines for the costume. So it's like,
Yeah.
how the fuck does your brain not tell you that that shit wouldn't look right on an adult in real life? Like, she's crazy, so she would actually wear that shit. I mean, I don't understand the logic that people have developed when it comes to these films. Like, they really, I heard even Kevin Smith was saying some shit. Not like he's the biggest authority or something, but he was like, yeah, I'm kind of glad they didn't go with that shit. Like, it looked kind of, I'm like, wait a second. Nothing was weird about the costume. It looked like her costume. That's pretty much what it would look like in real life. What was wrong with it? You know what I mean? Like,
your daughter dressed like it for Halloween.
I know, right?
Exactly. It
Exactly.
was okay for that.
Yeah, I just don't get it, man. I don't get it. And I saw it on several of the reviews. People pointed out how bad, Harley's suit looked, but then they were all cool with the Hot Topic version. And it's like, most of you guys make jokes about Hot Topic. Now, because a movie that has Harley Quinn in it happened to have that kind of aesthetic, it's perfectly cool to you guys. Like, nah.
Of course.
It's annoying.
I don't really talk smack about it too much. I'm like, I used to shop up there in my younger days.
Mm-hmm.
I did too.
But
I don't know. I kind of wish, like, I just wish it wasn't so scantily clad and roller derby looking.
She looked like a fucking hooker. Like, for those of us from
like
those
roller
of us,
derby themed hooker.
for those of us from the East Coast, you go to fucking Madison Square Garden. Think Madison Square Garden in like the early 90s, even the late 80s, and we saw night walkers walking around with boots that come up to their fucking knees, fucking, short shorts, and they look all emaciated and shit, and they're smoking and everything, and they got the furry crop top and all that shit. Like, she looked like a straight up hooker. It didn't look good, and all those women talking about female empowerment and shit. Use someone else as your example. Definitely not Harley Quinn. Come on. Definitely not in this movie either. Like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, yes.
You got Wonder Woman for Supergirl for female empowerment. Like, you can't really go wrong with those two.
Yeah, like Harley Quinn. Even DC is like really adamant about trying to push Harley as a hero. Harley's done some really fucked up shit.
Including Kill Robin, if you watch that big scroll of stuff.
I think in the comics she blew up a bus full of kids.
She's done a lot of shit. And she's been involved in situations that were fucked up for other people too. How the fuck do you pawn her off with Batgirl and, Wonder Woman and Supergirl and all those other heroes? Like, they need to stop. There needs to be a way differentiate the good guys from the bad guys and stop trying to homogenize everything because they make money.
Well, that's what happens. The most popular characters will eventually be just kind of melded into those top roles, which means that now.
What happened to Venom?
There's nothing about Harley Quinn that is in any way heroic. So
I don't know. That shit bothers me because, like, you see it, like, it started with Deadpool. It really started, like you said, with Venom. He got so popular that they made him a hero, an anti-hero.
Yeah.
And then they had to make new symbiotes to take his place as the villain. Excuse me. Then Deadpool followed suit. Like, Deadpool was actually cool when he was a villain. Because it was like fighting Wolverine without the adamantium claws. He just used swords and guns. So you always got a good fight out of the guy. And you knew he'd be back because he can't fucking die.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's a hero because he's popular. And it's like, really? Really? This just, now his popularity negates all the fucked up shit he's done over the years? Like, really?
Yeah, they're doing it with Dr. Doom now, too.
I know.
So.
It's like, come on.
It's like just
Doom or whatever the hell it's called.
It's like just because people like you doesn't mean, again, just because a character's popular doesn't mean they should automatically be a hero. It's
part of the popularity is because they made such good villains.
Exactly. Like, they can occasionally do heroic things, maybe, but again, always should be, motivated by self-interest.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's what's right. Because there's like years of history to show that these characters will not make that decision. So,
I Agreed.
it's really odd. But they said it's mostly driven by popularity. Like, I like this character, so why can't they do good things? You like them because they don't do good things.
I know. The only one who seems to be stuck in their position as a villain is the Joker. Like, people like him because he's a villain, and they keep him a villain, and they don't change that. But they put him in every goddamn thing, even when he shouldn't be there. I don't know. DC has a lot of work cut out for them. Because they've really... It's like the precedent that they set with these films, it shows that the people headlining these things don't get the DC universe at all. I mean,
they understand money.
Huh?
They understand money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like, could you imagine if like Nightfall was actually done in this universe, or if you know, Panic in the Sky or Crisis on Infinite Earths or 0 Hour or Kingdom Come? Could you imagine Kingdom Come in this DC universe? Like, all the shit that DC is known for, the epic, grandiose, fucking world-breaking stories that they've had, and you put it through this filter, and you would just get a womp womp womp, like none of it would have the effect that it's supposed to have. You know, it would always be like the obvious thing is what's gonna happen. You know, like Superman will kill Shazam. You know, Batman won't be in a brace because he's more popular, so he'll be this like 90-year-old man like Heihachi with like gray white hair, but he'd be fucking ripped and huge and just invincible for the sake of being invincible. Yet all the fans will bitch about Superman. I'm like,
I could see the DCEU going the way of Injustice.
Yeah, I know, right?
Dude, that's what worries me about that is.
Go ahead.
What were you saying?
No, you're good.
What worries me about that is the whole thing with BBS with that one flashback that, like, you know, happened. Well, I guess again another Batman fever dream. Didn't look like, you know, the Flash that we saw before. Plus, he had like all this armor on. I'm like, so wait, so we already like laying the groundwork for like other dimensions?
Mm-hmm.
Could very well be.
How much you want to bet that scene is not going to have bearing on the rest of the story?
Should, like, unless only to feed Batman paranoia, I guess.
I mean, because where'd it come from? It was a dream within a dream, but it supposedly happened.
Yeah, because that was the second one he had, right? The first one was the
funeral or the mausoleum or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Yes. When was the desert one then? Was that all the same scene?
Sure.
No, that
was after it.
That was when he woke up with the chick in his bed.
Oh, okay. Jeez. God, and Batman is screwed up.
Yeah, I know. It's like they fucked him up. He's like irredeemable. He's gone. Like, there's no coming back for him. Yet he has come back. Like, he's good.
Of course.
I don't know. They've really got some work to
do. Yeah, and like I said, in Suicide Squad was just it was so much freedom with like how you show these characters. And I don't know whether it was because of the friggin' team of editors or exit Marvel. Exits at WB, but I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, at some point, you gotta just let these people just create this vision. I understand it's very important to your bottom line, but the two movies and like both of them have underperformed according to their expectations. So something has to change, right?
It should.
They need to convince DC to back off and let them do what they got to do.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Because even I think Marvel Studios has learned, our Disney has learned to give Marvel or the people at Marvel some leeway when it comes to how they do their films. Plus that guy Perlmutter is gone too, so that helped a lot because I found out he was a lot of he was the reason why a lot of directors had issues.
Because he was a fucking miser. He didn't want to spend money on anything.
Yeah, he was racist too.
Yeah, and he had. I was about to say he had a lot of other issues as well that kind of, they weighed down the production. God, it's crazy how fucked up this whole machine is. But I don't know. We could go on forever and ever and ever, but we still come back to the same thing. It's just they need to really step their fucking game up, get good talent on these things, and stop just defaulting to the same people. I hope that Wonder Woman does well and is like opens their eyes to a different, like allowing different types of storytelling. I hope it motivates Zack Snyder to kind of stop with his version of the things that happened and just do like you did with 300 and those other adaptations where you gave us a film that framed shots and things from the comics and it was consistent. You know what I mean? Like, don't just take cool imagery from 10 different comic books and throw it into a fucked up story. Get one good story and take all the good imagery from that fucking story and make a good movie. You know what I mean? Like, the story has to first and foremost work before the visuals can really do their thing. If the visuals suck, then you get nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, it still kind of boggles my mind that after everybody... I mean, I know there's people out there that liked Dark Knight Rises, but there was a lot more people out there that hated the film. And, Dark Knight Rises suffered from the same thing of trying to pull from too many sources and cram it all into one. You think it wouldn't have gone that direction with Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I do not know. But did you guys like the movie? Did you think it was what'd you think? If you were gonna grade it, what would you say?
I'd give it a C.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say I give it. I don't know. I was thinking B minus or C, just because, like I said, when I walked out of that theater, I didn't have the same feeling. Yes.
What'd you have?
I definitely like I wish I had liked it. I said I wish I'd liked it more rather than like, the hell was that? Just because there was so much BVS that it was poorly explained.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the movie would be close to getting a B minus, but the things that it's just like, just like with BVS, the things they screwed up were so badly on that you can't really let that shit go.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Fine. I'll give it a C. I got to. Because,
no, man, if you want to give it a B minus, you give it a B minus, man. That's your rating.
Yeah.
Straight, I'm like, it's B minus or C, but no, it's a C. Like you said, the strongest parts were not necessarily what they were doing or why they were doing it, but in their role and think that this was completely wrong. They get points for that. Yeah, C, fine. And like I said, I didn't walk out of the theater completely or at least. So, C.
Wait, what? You broke up like 3 times while you were talking.
No, I said I didn't walk out of the theater feeling really annoyed at what I just watched.
Yeah.
There's points for that. So, yeah, I'll go with a C.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I'd say a C. I almost want to say D, but it wasn't complete crap. You know what I mean? Like, they were still it looked good. You got to give them props for that at least. Even the things that weren't perfect still looked pretty good. It was a little bit entertaining because we didn't walk out. I don't know. Did you want to walk out at some point? You didn't look like it.
No.
No, I didn't either. Like I said, Batman v Superman. It was yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even walk out of the theatrical version of Batman vs Superman. I just wouldn't see it again.
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't walk out because I kept thinking there's going to be this amazing shift where they're going to pass this dry, boring stuff, and then they're going to freaking make us shit on ourselves with the action, and it never came. So I was like, that pissed me off. That's why I would give that movie a D or a fucking F. Like, you failed completely because you had the two most popular, well-known superheroes in the world, and actually the three of them.
The Holy Trinity.
And you fucking failed. You failed.
I don't know. Not even Martha. That didn't make you want to walk out.
The Martha part, I was like, kind of like, are you fucking serious? Yeah, because like I saw that movie twice in the theater. Because the first time I saw it,
God bless you. God bless you.
The first time I saw it, it messed up, and I had like the actual video or movie, whatever, the file messed up, and so they were like the sound was off for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, it just went black. You couldn't see shit, but you could hear everything. They came in, they tried to sync it back up. They started like 5 minutes back, and then as it was playing, then the whole thing just cut out. So they gave us all these, admit one, free viewings or whatever. And I came back and watched it the next day. And it was like right at the scene where Batman is just killing off all those folks in the Batmobile. So it was like everybody was amped because it was like, oh shit, something's actually happening. And then that's what happened. I was like, man, are you kidding me? But yeah, I'd give them, and that movie would get an F because even though everything looked good, it was so all over the place with the story that you really don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, why
it failed to tell a story, and that's why it would get an F.
Yeah. So, this one, at least they told you a story. It's just that a lot of the parts that were involved in telling the story, they were inconsistent and they don't match up with other parts of the story, which sucks,
Yeah, and what's the name? A lot of the information you were given in Suicide Squad didn't contradict the story, but it didn't fully serve to support.
Yeah.
So it was like they almost started to kind of pull you in different directions rather than just flat out like take odd turns and go off course. Yes, just scene to scene, like it just did not tell a cohesive or ultimately very interesting story, considering who's there.
Yep, I agree completely. Well, I guess that's it for that because we fucking ripped this movie to shreds. I mean, which it really wasn't hard because so much was missing, but I don't know. That's really it to say. It sucks. This is one of those times where it's like we don't really have too many positives. The DCEU is a fucking mess. I'm mad that I was right about it being a mess. Like, because I wanted it to prove me wrong because I'm more of a DC fan than I am a Marvel fan. But the Marvel movies are better. They spent more time in the right areas, tweaking things to make sure that the overarching vision works. And then the independent or individual visions also work. Whereas DC has no fucking clue. They're not even trying.
Yeah, exactly.
And Warner Brothers. I mean, you got to throw Warner Brothers under the bus, too. You figure as long as Warner Brothers has been around as a movie production studio, they shouldn't have these problems. I mean, Marvel Studios has only been around for what, like,
almost 10
since
years.
the start of the MCU.
Yeah.
And they handled their shit better than Warner Brothers, which has been a staple in film for fucking born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense, They act like we don't want it's like they just they're not paying attention to what their fan base wants, and that's not cool.
And obviously it's fine to do that for 1 week, like I said, because you'll win the box office the week you show up.
Yeah.
Pretty much most of the money you're going to make, like we said, here in the States, that basically is like surviving off of the international box office right now. But I'm ashamed that's the way it is currently, in the way it may stay.
Yeah. I don't know, but that's it for us. I don't want to beat this dead horse anymore. Shit sucks. They need to get their shit straight. I'm kind of like not really expecting amazing things from them anymore because, I mean, they're going to have to do a lot. the Justice League trailer kind of, I was happy, but like when you think about it, it's not really that great of a trailer. Nothing really happens. You just see them all together, so it's like, wow, the Justice League is actually going to be in a film, you know? But
yeah, I hope they don't follow the path with BVS where they just show so much in all the trailers that a good portion of the movie. I want some mystery when I go to see a film.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to watch anything else, but they keep pumping out trailer after trailer to try and get people to go see the film. But to me, it just takes away from the experience when you're actually there.
yeah.
Yeah, the trailer's supposed to make you, like, you know, want to see it. Like you said, you're not supposed to be able to see 2-3 trailers and go like, all right, fine, I think I pretty much got the whole point.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, anyway, we gotta, what good shit should we review? Because we need to review some happy shit. Something that like really made us happy, that we all saw, that we all enjoyed. You know, like what? What?
Correction.
Did you say Alien Resurrection?
No.
No, Mechanic Resurrection.
Oh, come on. And who knows? It might be good, you know? It might actually be good. Who knows? But
yeah, I mean, I want to watch it. The first one was okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely enjoyed the first one, yeah.
Just wanted them to explain what happened to the dude he was training.
Yeah.
All about Statham's character. Like, what happened to that other guy?
He died. He died in the field.
Yeah, probably. I know. Or I'm like overthinking it when I know like that's the answer.
Pretty much. I don't know. We'll think of something and then wait. Go ahead.
And I saw. Do what?
No, go ahead. What'd you see?
It? I was just saying I saw Sausage Party, and that was really good. Just don't ever take your in-laws to go see that film like I did.
Why would you ever do that, man? Like that's a no-brainer. What the hell?
I underestimated off the wall that movie was going to get. Like, I didn't know it was going to go down the path that it went down.
And
I
Seth
figured
Rogen's
it was
name on it didn't give you that, like.
well, the interview wasn't that bad. Like, I could take my in-laws to see that movie. Even This Is the End. Even though at the end a freaking devil shows up and then chopped off.
Wait, what? You blanked out again. What happened? The devil does what?
I'll say even the movie This Is the End, as crazy as that was, Sausage Party goes above and beyond that film.
Really?
At the end of the interview, at the end of This Is the End, the devil ends up showing up, and he ends up getting his penis chopped off.
What? How the hell?
Do what?
I said, how the hell? How does that even make sense?
It like the devil was like, he was like huge. He was like towering over buildings and stuff. And then right when he's about to kill Seth Rogen's character Seth Rogen, because they're all playing themselves, and the other guy, I forgot his name, they end up doing something that gets them redeemed, and so they get to go to heaven. And so they're in the light that's beaming them up to heaven. And the devil's trying to hit him and touch him, but Rogen gets redeemed, and the other guy still isn't. But he's like, I'm sorry, it's the other guy. His friend gets redeemed, and so he's going up, and so he's like, Seth, grab my hand, and so he grabs his hand and he's taking him up. But then as they're going up, the light starts to fade because he's trying to bring Seth, but Seth isn't worthy, and so Seth is like, man, just let me go. You can go to heaven. I'll just deal with shit here or whatever. So right when he lets him go, he gets redeemed. And so then they're like, yeah, we're going to heaven. And so then they clasp hands and the beam gets even bigger. And right when the devil's trying to get at him, he gets caught in the beam and like half his jaw gets cut off. And then the beam shoots down and it like cuts off his penis.
Wow.
his penis in his head. He's like screaming at the sky, like what?
Wow.
Stupid, it's funny. But Sausage Party goes. The third act is bananas, man.
What?
It's bananas.
Wow.
And I wasn't even expecting it to go where it did, and they were like, and it's like once you think the movie, like, because the movie it gets more extreme as the film goes on, and get any more extreme it does. And it was even kind of cool in a way because the film talks about the whole thing with the food getting chosen because they view humans like oh, it's God and God's taking us, we're gonna go to heaven now and we're gonna live a great life and blah blah blah.
Yeah. I know the plot. Yeah.
Yeah, so it has all the religious connotations in there. How like the reality, that's when shit starts to go nuts.
Yeah.
I just did not think it was gonna go that the way it did.
Wow. Well, moral of the story: don't take your in-laws to Seth Rogen films.
Yeah, I know.
Like they're now off the list.
Yeah, pretty much. Message.
Yeah, I know. Luckily, my father-in-law fell asleep during the film, so
that's good.
That, yeah.
But yeah, we'll think of something good that we can sing the praises of.
Yeah, I know, because we got to do something good to wash off the stench from this film and all the rest of the DCEU that we've been talking about. So,
but understand, we wanted this to be that movie.
Yeah, we wanted it to be good. It just didn't live up to it. So,
at least to give a sign that okay, Warner Brothers and DC are going in the right direction now.
I know we need at least a little sign, but we'll figure out something, and then we will be back with a better, more positive review. Hopefully. So yeah, that's it for us. You guys have been great. Peace outside.